Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guests today are Republican analyst Steve Gill and political communications expert and Lipscomb professor Linda Peek-Schaap. Linda, I can sort of tell if we're talking about the vice presidential, whoever that person was going to be on the Democratic side, and the Republican side, too, that you were kind of chomping at the bit wanting to say something before we took the break.
Well, the reason that I don't think Bernie Sanders would ever be Hillary Clinton's vice presidential nominee is that Donald Trump, even if Sanders were at the top of the ticket, is going to label him a Democrat socialist. And the United States is not going to elect a Democratic socialist as president or as vice president.
Now Steve, who does Donald Trump, or for that matter, Ted Cruz, come up with to join them on the vice presidential ticket? You said it has to be somebody that gets them elected. Well, who in the world is that?
Well, I think with Donald Trump, the part of his pitch is that he can bring those disaffected blue-collar Democrats in states like Michigan and Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, that put those states into his column that won't normally be there. The question is whether he can do that without also bringing out Christian conservatives around the country, which means do you lean to Ted Cruz? I kind of like the idea, frankly, if I'm Donald Trump, of a Susana Martinez, who is a Latina, who is the governor of New Mexico, who brings you some help in the Hispanic community, where Donald Trump will need some help, and in the female community. For Ted Cruz, I think it's more wide open. I think he can pick from a lot of different governors, because again, if you've got a senator, it helps to maybe go to a state. Maybe a Cruz Walker ticket might make some sense.
Well, if you do that sort of thing, you talked about there being walkouts maybe in either party, but on the Republican side, if there's a walkout a la the Dixiecrats in '48 or the Bull Moose Party in 1912, where do those people go? Do they form a third party? It's awfully late in the middle of July to start a third party effort, or do they just not vote if they walk out?
I think you'll have some people, regardless of how it turns out, say, I will not vote for fill in the blank. You know, by the time we get to November, they may change their tune, because you're going to have a candidate that is running against somebody. You know, right now they're running against each other, but when it is Hillary or Cruz or Trump, they're going to have a different focus. And I know Linda will disagree with me, but I think Hillary is one of the worst political candidates in history. 8 years ago, she lost to a guy out of Illinois who'd been a U.S. Senator for 2 years, had no track record and a funny name. Now she's having hell to pay to beat a 78-year-old, 120-year-old socialist from Vermont. She is not a good candidate, and that will play out as we go into the fall. The question is whether Trump or Cruz can take advantage.
Linda, I know you want to disagree.
I do want to disagree with that. I'm not going to say she's a great candidate. I am going to say that I think that at the end of the day, the fact that she is the most experienced, the fact that she is someone who people eventually will say, yes, I will trust the government with her, to her, and that she can answer, despite the fact that the questions keep coming, she can answer the charges that are leveled against her.
Let me ask you both this. President Obama's popularity ratings, whose job numbers have been going up. They've been kissing 50% the last couple of weeks. What role does that play in both campaigns, if it's for the Republicans and for the Democrats?
First of all, he's been invisible. Hillary's poll numbers have always gone up when she's less visible. Barack Obama's been out of the news because everybody's been focusing on these other personalities. That's a natural impact. I will say that, and again, I think Linda and I will agree on this because we both watched this for a long time, when you have both candidates that are disliked, whether you're running for Congress, State House, governor, or anything else, you cannot make people like you fast enough. You have to make them dislike the other guy worse than you, which means we're going to have the lowest common denominator race in history.
And we've never had two candidates in both parties who are as disliked or have the highest negative numbers I've ever seen.
You're not going to change people's mind and have them like you. You can only make them hate the other guy worse.
That's right, and you've got to ramp up the negative ads to turn out your base who hates the other person more. How do
you do all that and not turn people off? Because what happens when these races get really nasty and negative, and this one probably will, people start saying, oh, I'm sick of it, I'm turning off the TV, I'm not doing this. Then the turnout just goes straight.
Well, that means get out the vote becomes even more important. And this is where I think the Democrats, particularly if it's Trump, the Democrats are going to have an advantage, because unless Trump really ramps up his understanding of the way you actually run a campaign, the Democrats are way ahead of him.
Steve,
and fear is how you turn out that anti-attitude. In fact, if you look at most TV commercials, there's an element of fear in almost every one. My rear end looks big in these jeans, don't buy them. My breath stinks, so I'm not going to pick up good-looking girls. Fear is in 99% of ads, and you're going to see the fear card more than the race card or anything else, the gender card. It's all going to be based on making people afraid of the other candidate.
Well, I don't think they don't combine fear with race and gender, too. I mean, we've seen that happen before.
Very quickly, the last time Hillary Clinton decided she's going to start focusing on the general election, Bernie Sanders won 8 out of 9 contests. How does she keep it in the road and keep moving forward if she's going to start doing that rather than going after him?
Well, I think she's going to have to keep doing that, and she may have to get tougher with him because his 2 top aides have gone on TV in the last several days and said they are going to go all the way to the convention. What she's got to do, and I think what she will do, is she'll stay steady. She's not going to take out after him personally the way he's taken out after her, but she will point out the differences. And the primaries coming up, I mean, where caucuses happen, he will do well. But the primaries coming up are going to be very good for her.
Very quickly, Steve, you think so too? You think that's what Clinton needs to do? I mean, I know that's not your party. But.
Yeah, I think she's got to find a way to start, again, looking presidential, look like she's already the winner, put this behind her and start running a fall election. And I think she's already starting to turn her attention both in specifics as well as kind of in nuances towards Donald Trump.
Steve Gill, Linda Peak Shat, thank you so much for being on the program. We'll probably have you back because this race just continues to confound everybody. And thank you for joining us this week on Inside Politics. Hope you can be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.